That's one thing that I discovered about boramino is that if you use it in very small amounts, anywhere from 2 to 3 times, at those very specific points that, I found on a 9-week cycle at week 4 and 5 or 4, 5, and 6 on a longer cycle, but very tiny amounts. I'm talking like a gram per gallon. And with as aminos, they're so fluffy. That's like I think like an eighth of a teaspoon or something like that. It was a tiny amount. And that made just about the same amount of a difference as using one of those expensive potassium and phosphorus boosters, because it catalyzed the potassium and phosphorus that I already had, that I already paid for, and I don't think I need to add more. If there's one problem that I have with our industry, we use too much macronutrients to feed too small of plants. There's way too much runoff going into that water, and it doesn't need to happen. It's not how much you can use, it's how little you can get by with. Using 4.5 EC doesn't impress me. Did you get the same yield at 1.25 EC? That's what impresses me. You can grow hydroponics efficiently and responsibly. It's just we're not there yet.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just a lot of it is the knowledge base, and it's like you said, the industry is pushing more and more and more because they make more and more.
Well, that's why the only way you make money on petrochemicals is in bulk sales. You're not, 1500 calcium nitrates, 1500 calcium nitrate, whether you buy it from A, B, or C, it's the same stuff, comes from the same place in Germany. Sorry, just the way it goes.
Well, yeah, and then who's the better marketer? Who has the nicer package? And
exactly, that technology's taken about as far as they can take it. It's the new innovative stuff is all in organic gardening, whether it's nanostructured fertilizers coming out of India or new bacterial based or amino acid based products coming out of India or out of Europe. There's so many cool just soybean based amino acid products that are coming out over the next several years. You're going to be blown away. Full on fertilizers that are basically vegan. And that's another thing about the Bioag line is that we use no animal byproducts, absolutely zero. We are 100% plant and rock derived. That's all we do. We're compost. It just depends on the product and how we use it and where it goes out there.
You have proprietary techniques that you're using to strip these minerals and
yes, we do,
out of the base to put into these products. So I'm not going to ask that because Bob would kill us both. Okay.
Yes.
So instead of I've been doing a foliar application and a soil drench on the same time. I've been doing every 3 to 4 days for the last couple of weeks. Should I be, backing that off, using a little bit more, or bumping it up? Because I water daily because I'm in 5-gallon cloth pots. Spread it out longer term.
Here's the easiest way to do that. You mix one tea at one size from the beginning to end, and it never changes. The water you use to dilute it with when you water with, that changes. So you've got your tea, and at the beginning, it's either water straight on or dilute it X amount with X amount of water, right? So let's say it's your tea is a concentrate, and it starts off at 1 cup to 1 gallon of water. Right. So by the time you hit week 2, now it's half a cup or 3/4 of a cup. And that just gets a little bit weaker. And then if you want to get other levels that you want to stay higher, you add a little bit of you want to add a little bit of more full power to it right when you water it on, or you want to add a little bit more of the aminos for a little bit more grow or a little bit more micronutrients as you go. But your base of your micronutrients and your sulfates and your bacterial and that stuff, it's continually getting lower and lower as you go. But you don't have to brew more or less tea or change your recipe at all. You just dilute it more as you're going.
So basically what you're saying is, make a full 5-gallon pail, and then, you do your watering, etc. And you fill that pail back up, which dilutes it. You do your watering of foliar, and you fill that pail until it's basically clear, and then you go to start over again.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And the more you go on, so you can turn it into, that 5-gallon pail, through veg, it makes can stretch as far as 8 to 10 gallons. But in bloom, you could stretch it as far as 15 or 20. Because you've already built the stalks, you've got the roots, the bacteria, the funk, it's there. You just got to make sure you're not missing the stuff that has been absorbed, washed away, or messed up, because of something that you watered with. Again, there's no genetic free ride, and you must rob Peter to pay Paul when it comes to, balancing microbes and, keeping micronutrients happy. So at the beginning, during the, when you're going through veg, it's about keeping the nitrogen where you need it for that variety. So if you got a heavy feeder, you use more nitro on it, whereas a lighter feeder, you use less, but once you get to that stage where it gets a little bit older, that's where you'll see that adding a little bit more of the multi-amino is going to keep it a better green because it's used up more micronutrients that it had slow releasing out of the soil.
Right.
especially right when it gets ready to reproduce or trigger into flower. When you get to that week before and the 2 weeks in to 3 weeks into flower, your micronutrient needs double and triple. And if you supplement that properly, you lose all that yellowing that you get prematurely in, the 3rd and 4th week of flower after it goes through that hard into flower. Particularly if you're indoors and you're going from like an 18 hours or 24 right into a 12-12 and you're hitting it with a hammer with that light change, that you'll see a bigger difference there than you would like in an outdoor environment with that trigger.
How about like I know I generally take 5, 6, 7, 8 days to bring it down from like an 18-hour cycle down to the 12.